A small portion of this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Hey guys, Mark here, and today I want to talk about the iPhone 12. I've been using this phone along with the 12 Pro interchangeably for over 2 weeks now, and I've finally come up with a theme for this review. With the iPhone 12, Apple has taken 2 steps forward, but in a way they've also taken a step back. They've added some things that make the overall experience of using this phone better, but they've also taken some things away. More on that later. In some areas, like the design, Apple has taken a massive step forward compared to last year's iPhone 12. I probably sound like a broken record by now, but I love the squared off design. I've handed this phone to a few people now, and the one thing that they always say is how much they like how it feels to hold. It's got that industrial modern vibe, and I'm glad they decided to match the phones to the iPad Pro's square design. While that is cool, this new design has other benefits. Apple has made this phone 11% thinner and 16% lighter than previous models. Now, while I don't care as much about the thinness of the phone, in fact, I kinda wish they made it a little thicker so that they could put a bigger battery in here, I do like the fact that it's lighter. For me personally, a lighter phone is a more comfortable phone. The front of the phone has also been massively improved. The bezels around the bottom and sides of the iPhone are much thinner, and although the notch is still there and hasn't shrunk much in size, it's still a much better looking phone from the front. Beyond that, Apple has also decided to give the iPhone 12 a near 1440p OLED display. Finally! The iPhone 11 had a sub 1080p LCD display, and while it was serviceable, it doesn't compare to the new display on the 12. Everything is much sharper on the 12, and the blacks are deeper because of that OLED display. It's actually more or less the exact same display as is on the iPhone 12 Pro. They're both 6.1-inch OLED displays with a resolution of 1170 by 1532, and the only real difference being a slight increase in peak brightness for the 12 Pro. Everything else is the same. Naturally, Apple has also stepped up their performance gain with the new A14 Bionic in the iPhone 12. Compared to the A13 Bionic, the A14 is said to be about 15% faster and 30% more efficient thanks to the new 5nm chip. Given that the A13 Bionic was already a very powerful chip for a mobile phone, the performance increase on the A14 is just that much more impressive. Of course, both of these chips will do pretty much anything you need them to, so unless you plan on editing like 8K video on your smartphone, you probably won't see much of a difference between the two. The iPhone 12 is also the first iPhone to debut with 5G connectivity, which could be cool if you're in an area that supports it, but for me here in rural Canada, I can't even test it out. It does make the phone a little bit more future-proof though. I have a feeling that 5G will be expanding in a big way over the next few years, so if you plan on keeping your phone for a while, 5G support is nice to have. Alright, before I go on to talk about the cameras and battery life, I first need to thank the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is a seriously awesome online learning platform that I've been using for about half a year now. You can learn from so many talented people, literally thousands, through their online classes. They've got classes on animation, music, film and video, photography, and a whole lot more. Want to make the most out of the new cameras on the iPhone 12? Dale's got you with his 51-minute class about iPhone photography over on Skillshare. A lot of us have plenty of free time right now, so why not spend it learning something fun and exciting that you've always been interested in? Skillshare is a community that's built for learning and is absolutely ad-free. It's also actually really affordable at less than $10 a month with a yearly subscription. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my video description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this portion of the video, and now let's get back to the iPhone 12. The cameras on the iPhone 12 are fantastic in both photos and video. From what I can tell, they aren't a huge improvement over the previous gen iPhones, but they do get a few goodies here and there. The main wide-angle camera gets a new f1.6 aperture as opposed to the f1.8 that was there on the previous models, which should be better in low light. We also get access to night mode selfies, which wasn't available on the 11, and night mode shots on the ultra-wide camera as well. There's also the ability to shoot 4K Dolby Vision HDR at up to 30 FPS on the iPhone 12, although the 12 Pro and Pro Max can do it up to 60 FPS. It's got some compatibility hiccups with older computer monitors and TVs, but if your display supports HDR, it can look pretty darn incredible. Of course, we're missing the telephoto camera and LiDAR sensor from the 12 Pro, but I'd argue that those are the least important features of the camera module on your phone. The wide and ultra wide should be able to capture 95% of the shots you need. Apple has brought MagSafe back to the iPhone 12 lineup, but this time around it's a form of wireless charging that snaps to the back of the phone with magnets. I've got a whole video explaining MagSafe if you're interested in that, but what you need to know is that you can buy a wireless charger that simplifies wireless charging, and they have a whole bunch of accessories like cases and wallets that just snap to the back of the phone along with it. All of these things are steps forward. Some are giant leaps and others are, well, baby steps. But while all of these changes are good and they make the experience of using an iPhone better, Apple has also taken some things away from us, and in some cases, literally. Like the fact that none of the new iPhone 12 models come with a charging brick or headphones in the box, just a USB-C to Lightning adapter. If you don't have a USB-C charging brick at home, you'll have to buy a new one. This isn't a big thing for me since I have them lying around literally everywhere, but for a lot of you, this is really frustrating and I totally get it. The other thing they've taken away is battery capacity. The iPhone 12 comes with a 2815 mAh battery, whereas the 11 had a larger 3100 mAh one. Apple didn't mention that making the phone thinner would decrease our battery life, but that's what we're stuck with. It's not a huge decrease in battery life, mind you. I found that it came pretty close to what the iPhone 11 was getting, but it is a step backwards. I find the battery life really depends on what you're doing with your phone. That's true of all phones, but this one especially. Let me explain. The A14 Bionic has 6 cores in total, 2 for performance and 4 for efficiency. If all you're doing is web browsing or watching a video, those 4 efficiency cores will be sipping a little bit of power and providing you with great battery life. But if you start taking photos and video where the CPU has to do some heavy processing work, or you start playing a bunch of games that make the GPU kick into overdrive, then that's where the A14 starts to really eat away at your battery. If you're a light user and you don't do a whole lot of demanding stuff, you could get incredible battery life with the iPhone 12. But if you're more of a heavy user, you might be a little bit more disappointed with the battery performance. The last negative for the iPhone 12 is the price. The iPhone 11 debuted last year with a starting price of $699 USD, whereas the iPhone 12 this year is $799 with a carrier or $829 unlocked. You can also buy the iPhone 11 right now from Apple for $599, so telling you which one to buy just gets that much more complicated. So like I said, Apple seems to have taken 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The important thing to note here is that it's still a net positive. I still think the iPhone 12 is a great phone. The design and display are massively improved. We're getting better performance and slightly better cameras, 5G compatibility, and the new MagSafe feature. Of course, I wish that all of those things didn't come at the expense of battery life or not getting a charger in the box, but overall I still think it's a decent trade-off. The iPhone 12 is a solid phone. If you're interested in seeing what the 12 Pro can do that's extra, I've got a whole video on that which you can check out right here. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to support my channel. And as always, have a great day.